In this video, I'll be covering question 2, part A from the 2012 AP Calculus AB Free Response Calculator Required portion of the exam. I cover parts A, B, and C all in their own individual videos, so if you want to see those other solutions, please check out my other videos. Okay, so part A is giving us the task of finding the area of that region R that's defined up above. The region is defined by two equations. One is the natural log of x, and one is 5 minus x. If you can't recognize that immediately from looking at these graphs, which you really should be able to when you go in to take this test, you want to kind of have a general sense of what a natural log graph might look like and what a linear equation would look like. But the good news is this is the calculator required section, so we'll be graphing this here in a second anyways, and we'll just go ahead and we'll see off the graph which is which. What we need to do on this is we're going to end up needing to split this into two different definite integrals. So definite integrals are what tell us the area between the curve and the x-axis. So we're going to have one definite integral that goes from 1 to whatever we find out this intersection point is here, and then it'll finish up by going from that intersection over here to 5 where it ends on this side. To find out, I guess, two things: to find out which graph is which in case you don't know, and to find that intersection, we're going to go ahead and do this in the calculator. So what we would do on this is step 1, we would go into our calculator, and in y1 on the calculator, I'm going to put the natural log of x. In y2 in the calculator, I'm going to put the second equation, 5 minus x. Then from there, we'll go ahead and graph those equations. And then we're going to go calc that intersect. So we're going to hit second. We'll choose the calc menu. And then inside the calc menu, we'll choose the number 5 option, which is intersect. And then from there, the calculator will ask us a few questions. We'll answer them, and we will find that intersection point that we're looking for. So I open up my calculator, go into my y equals, that button in the top left, and I type in my first equation, natural log of x, into y1, and then 5 minus x into y2. And then we'll graph them. And I can see the region that I'm looking for in the middle there. So that blue graph is the natural log graph. The red graph is 5 minus x. So the way I had them labeled in this picture is how you would kind of want to label them. And I would take the time to just put those labels on there. Again, taking care of labeling your graphs sometimes, it helps your test brain out. So now we need to find that intersect where the blue and the red graph are meeting. So we'll hit second. We'll choose the calc menu, which is the button above trace at the very top. And then inside that menu, I'm going to choose the number 5 option, which is intersect. I hit enter on that. And at the bottom of the screen, the calculator is going to ask me a few questions. The first question it's going to ask me is this the first curve? You'll notice if I tried hitting enter right now, it's not switching off of there. And what you can see is there is no y value right now. If you look at the bottom of the screen, it says y equals blank. And so what that tells me is my cursor actually isn't on the graph. And so I just push to the right until I have an x and a y value. And now I hit enter, and it grabs it. Then it's going to switch automatically to the second curve for us, and we just hit enter again. And then it's the last question that matters a little bit. It wants us to guess, so we would just scroll down here so we're close to where that intersect is happening, and we hit enter a third and final time. You'll know you did everything right because at the bottom of the screen it will say the word intersection, and then that x value is what we're looking for. When you're working on the AP Calc test, the in-between numbers that you use are going to be 6 decimal places. When you go to put your final answer together, that's going to be 3 decimal places for your final answers. But on these in-between steps right now, we're going to want to take that to 6 decimal places. So 3.693441. So this is actually at 3.693441. That is our intersection point. That's our x value right there. Now to find the region, we're going to have to come back in and set up 2 integrals. We'll set up one integral for this left-hand side here, and we'll set up a second integral for this right-hand side. So for that left-hand side, this would be the integral starting at 1 and ending at that intersection point we just found, 3.693441, and that is of the natural log graph. So then this would be the natural log of x dx. Then we'll add to that starting at that intersection point, so starting at 3.693441 and ending at 5, and that's going to be for our second equation, which is 5 minus x dx. And now again, we're just going to take advantage of our calculator to find out what these two integrals equal and add those up to get our final answer. So step one of this process, in y1 I would put that natural log graph. Then from there we'll graph this, and then we'll go back into that calc menu. We'll hit second, calc, and inside the calc menu we're going to choose the number 7 option, which is again integral of f of x dx. We'll answer a couple of questions there. At the bottom of the screen it's going to say integral of f of x dx equals, and that'll be half of what we need to put together our final answer. So I open up my calculator, go back into the y equals. One of the nice things to do, 5 minus x isn't the worst equation to retype in, but sometimes they get nastier, and every second you can save yourself from having to retype stuff in. It also saves you from possibly typing it in wrong just by dropping a negative or something. If you scroll on to the equals sign here and hit enter on that, you'll notice now that that 5 minus x doesn't have a highlighted equals. So it's only going to graph my natural log function, which is what I want right now. So I'll hit graph, and now we're going to go to our calc menu again. So we'll hit second, choose that calc menu, the button above trace at the very top, and then this time we want the number 7 option, integral of f of x dx. We hit enter on that, and now it's going to ask us some new questions. At the bottom of the screen, it wants the lower limit. The lower limit is our lower bound, so that's going to be 1. Type in 1, hit enter. It'll now ask you for the upper limit. The upper limit is our upper bound, which is that number we found. So this would be 3.693441. Type that in and hit enter. And now at the bottom of the screen, we can see that we've got our answer here. So that's going to be, again, take it out to 6 decimals before you go adding these together. So 2.132256. So 2.132256 is going to be the first half of our answer. Just checking myself to make sure I wrote it all down right. And now we'll do the same exact thing on the other side here. So step 1 on this side, I'm going to have it in y2, but y1, y2, wherever you want to put it. y2 will be that equation. Step 2 again will be to graph this. And then step 3 again is going to do our second calc. And then we'll choose that number 7 option, integral of f of x dx. We'll answer those same 2 questions. It'll shade it in for us, and then at the bottom of the screen, we'll get the second half of what we need for our answer. So open up my calculator, go to the y equals. I can turn off the natural log graph by hitting enter. I can turn back on the 5 minus x graph by hitting enter on that equals. And then I just graph it again and do my second calc. Choose the number 7 option, integral of f of x dx. The lower limit this time was that intersect that we found, so 3.693441. The upper bound is now 5. The upper limit is 5. We hit enter, and at the bottom of the screen we get the integral of f of x dx equals 0.853548. So 0.853548. And now we're just going to add those two values together to get out our final answer right here. And so we'll put those values together. So I've got 2.132256 for the first one plus 0.853548 for the second one. Hit enter. And now that we're on to our final answers are always going to be 3 decimal places. So this would be 2.986. So our final answer on this would be 2.986. So this one would have been 3 points here. You'd have gotten 1 point for setting up those integrals and then getting the limits on those. So you would have gotten another 1 point. So 1 point for setting up the integral, 1 point for getting the bounds on the integral correct, and then you would have gotten 1 point out for getting that final answer. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, please click that like button and subscribe. And also share it with your friends and anyone else you know who might be crying about an upcoming AP Calc test. You can find more videos from me, more sample AP Calc questions, and my complete AP Calc study guide over at my website, apcalcprep.com. Have a great one.